Hey, what's up, my people? John Middlekauff, new YouTube channel. What I need you to do, subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, share with your friends. Appreciate everyone that has. It's the podcast, 3 and Out. You can listen wherever you listen to podcasts. Apple, Spotify. We got you covered. Also, thevolume.com. We got merch right here. FlexFit hat. Go to thevolume.com. Get yourself a 3 and Out hat. This happens a lot this time of year. Sometimes it happens, before free agency starts and then again around the draft, is you have a player who is due a lot of money, who's due a big contract extension, and you're torn. Either you don't know if that player is worth that much. 2, you don't know if you can afford to keep that player. I think like a Tyreek Hill would fall under that category. Like the Chiefs knew how good the guy was, but could they afford to give him $70+ million, pay Mahomes, ultimately look down the road, going to give Chris Jones an extension? They had to make some tough decisions. A.J. Brown, there were rumors that the Titans ownership was hesitant to put the amount of money needed, and they traded him. Devontae Adams once upon a time. The Packers wanted to keep him. He didn't want to be there. And all these type guys got traded for first-round picks. And it's your job as a GM, if you even have questions, or if that player is driving a hard bargain / like, hey, this is my number. If you don't, trade me. It is on you. Part of your job description is to figure out what the guy is worth on the open market. That's all these conversations that happen at the combine are just, what could we get for L'Jarius Sneed? What could we get for Brandon Aiyuk? What could we get back in the day? Like, what's A.J. Brown worth on the open market? A couple years ago, Deebo Samuel was holding out. How much would he be worth? Then there are the type players like T.J. Watt a couple years ago did the hold in. Nick Bosa last year, same thing. He held out. You're never trading those players. You're just negotiating. It's a lot of money. You're always going to keep those players. I think when you are entertaining doing the deal, which I'm all for. I remember when the 49ers traded DeForest Buckner. They got the 13th overall pick. And my first reaction was like, I would drive him to Indianapolis for the 13th pick. And I don't believe I was wrong. Then it is on you to make the right decision with that pick. Like, there are 2 parts of this discussion. There's the trade, and then there's the draft comes and you have to pick a player. Like, think about A.J. Brown when they traded him to the Philadelphia Eagles. You could argue that's insane. Many people would. But if they had picked the right player, remember, the Buffalo Bills traded for Stephon Diggs. They gave up a first-round pick. The Minnesota Vikings used pick 22 on Justin Jefferson. You've never heard a peep since about, like, God, the Vikings were crazy. Traded Diggs. Went on to be one of the better receivers over the next several years for the Bills. People forget that Diggs was even on the team. It's like, God, you got the best wide receiver in the league. Yet, A.J. Brown, it was like, hey, we'll trade you for whatever it was, pick 16, pick 17. They picked Treylon Burks, who I think has less than 50 catches through 2 seasons. The 49ers, when they traded Buckner to the Colts, they could have taken Tristan Wirfs. Instead, they got cute. They traded back a pick, and they took Javon Kinlaw. So when I see these, like, to me, Brandon Aiyuk is a really, really good player. He's damn good. He's a winning player. But is he worth $25, $26, $27 million a year when you already are paying a lot for a wide receiver who in a weird way is not some true number 1 either? You're in a tough position. And as the guy running the team, whether that's Kyle, John, or the combination of them both, you have to figure out what's out there. So when I read a rumor today that the Jags, they've had discussions. And now, how credible this is, if they were going to trade Brandon Aiyuk, they would definitely need to get a first-round pick, or it's not worth even trading him. But let's say they were able to trade him for pick 17. A lot of people would be like, the Jags just got a really good receiver. God, the 49ers got really good value. Well, eventually the 49ers are going to be on the clock at pick 17. And that trade is ultimately determined not necessarily how good Aiyuk is. We already know he's good. It's established. All these guys I've listed that got traded maintained being really good players. Buckner, Tyreek, I mean, AJ Brown, Devontae Adams. Like, that guy's good. There's no projection. There's no guessing game. These are established veteran players. Now, if you hit on the draft pick, you get cheap labor. And you're in a position where you can change your franchise because now you have a lot more wiggle room with a guy on a cost-controlled contract for the foreseeable future. But you better get the pick right. And the risk in those trades is enormous. One, because you're getting rid of a player that you can win with, that you've been winning with. The Niners were winning with Buckner. The Titans were winning with A.J. Brown. The Chiefs were winning with Tyreek Hill. But what did Veach do and gets a lot of credit for? Well, he was able to use that draft capital and be in position to move up a couple spots and get Trent McDuffie, who's now one of the better DBs in the league, who now gives them the opportunity to we could probably trade our other corner, who's going to cost a lot of money. But when you pick the wrong player, it's a disaster because then you have to make up for it because then you get a cheap asset. But if you can't play, you get extra cap room. Now you have to use that cap room to fill and Band-Aid that position. So these decisions seem so easy on the internet. Oh, yeah, trade him for this. Well, you better draft the right player. And I don't think we talk about that enough. And I don't. Because the moment a guy's traded for a sweet first-round pick, you're like, oh, that's a no-brainer. And then they draft the player. You're like, God, that guy sucks. Good decision there, you idiot. So I think Brandon Aiyuk, for example, is a very, very tough decision for the 49ers. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. Obviously, if they just extend him, he's going to be fine. He's going to be a good player. Is he ever going to be a star? And I understand, and you can go like this. Well, guards now make $17, $18 million. That's like the going rate. Do I want to pay a guard $17, $18 million? Not really. He better be a high-end Pro Bowl starter. Do I want to pay Brandon Aiyuk $25, $26 million? Well, yeah, if he goes to the next 3 Pro Bowls, I'm cool with it. But if he's like a fringe top 15 wide receiver in the NFL, then I don't know if it's worth it. And these are the discussions. This is why building a team is so difficult. This is not fantasy football. You have to build it within the cap. And when you extend good players, they are very, very expensive. And I think, and listen, I'm critical of moves when they happen. That's the job I'm in, just like fans are as well. Like, that's dumb. That's smart. But these are not easy to do.